Hello to everyone, and I hope you're well. And summer is not too hot. People who are in Europe and in the UK, because I think a few days ago I read an article in BBC saying quite hot. And here is very pleasant. Weather is very pleasant, and less rain last few days, and the temperature is very nice. And so the virus, we talk a lot. So, the monastery is still free from the virus, and we are still self-lockdown. So tomorrow we are starting the Giluk annual exam, and so last few days I was quite busy to do the preparations and lots of arrangements, because this year we are doing in 3 places, Sera, Gandhin and Debong. Usually, all the students come together in one place and then relatively easy. But this year we are doing in individual monasteries. So, it has some complication. But fingers crossed, and so it will last 21 days. So there are a few days they're off. Otherwise, every day there are written exams, the debating exams, and the oral exams. So there are, that's what's happening here. And I've just teased Trey and Peter. I asked them how they are doing. They said not too bad, and I said, okay, that's good. Being in samsara, it's not too bad. That is good news. So that is same here too. Not too bad. And okay. So today we are going to read 3 verses from the text, and the first verse that we are going to read is verse 22, which is the verse where out of the 6th perfection, the last perfection, which is the perfection of wisdom. Then there are 2 verses after that, but in English translation, there's only 1 verse, which seems 1 verse is missing. Either I don't know how they missed that. Initially, I thought it might be because I'm very much get used to this text. So since I was very young, we have been chanting, reading, reciting, and I thought this may be the 1 verse may extra in the ceremony text, but I checked many other. It is not. And also in the commentary that I'm reading and the other commentaries that I've read, they all have after the 6th perfection, before the mantra, there are 2 verses. In English, there are only 1 verse. So after the perfection, 6th perfection. So anyway, we'll follow the text that I've got, and then we will see. I thought I put everything in order, but then, okay, now it's here. So now in English, that the verse which explains the 6th perfection, and here it is translated like this: may I gain the great wisdom that has realized the practices of all three vehicles, the three doors to liberation, and the three exact concentrations. And that is how it is translated in English. And this is the sixth perfection. As so now after the seven limb or seven practices such as prostration, offering, then when that section finished, then the second section was how to enter into bodhisattva's deeds, or how to practice the bodhisattva's deeds. And in that, then the six perfections are explained. Six perfection, from generosity to the today's reading, the wisdom. And these are something that we should learn how to bring them into our everyday life, not leave it in a prayer, not leave it in a formal prayer, or just in a wish list, not in that way, but try to see how can we bring those, like the generosity, ethics, patience, joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom, how to bring them into our everyday lives. And that way we will see the benefits, we'll see the usefulness of reading, studying, and learning the text, such as this kind of prayer. Otherwise, they may stay just in a form of prayer or wish, which is not. Of course, it is nice to say these nice prayers, verbally saying, has a positive impact, but learning to bring into more concrete action is something important. And so therefore, to really to see, how can I take this into my everyday life while I'm talking to people, while I'm whatever daily routine activities that we do, and that will be very, very useful. Okay. Now I'll read in Tibetan, and yeah. So number tarpe kosum tang, number tarpe kosum. So number tarpa, tarpa, liberation. Number tarpa, full liberation or complete liberation. So here, the liberation can be explained within the context, or explain liberation from samsara. According to the minor tradition, teachings of the Bodhisattva, we can talk two layers or two levels of liberation. Entering into individual path to experience liberation, and then entering into the Bodhisattva path, then to experience liberation or the full enlightenment. So this number tarpa, liberation, liberated. So liberate. So number tarpa, complete liberation. Here, because the prayer is within the context of the Bodhisattva, therefore liberation here refers to the full enlightenment, complete. Number tarpa, complete enlightenment, full enlightenment. Number tarpe, gosumdam, Do, sum is three doors of liberation, which will come. Number thabe, kosum tang, tang means end, and tusum nyamba, tusum refers to the three times, past, future, and the present. Tusum nyamba, nyamba refers to equal, same, equal, nyamba. Tusum nyamba nidani. This is also referring to one of the wisdom seeing or experiencing or realizing, three times those past, present, future are equally empty of inherently existence. If we look at Mahanas, so Tusum Nyamba Nidani and Riksum. So Rik refers to realizing, aware of, seeing, understanding, the Riksum, and then saying Ngusum Gibai, Riksum. In other words, three forms of awareness or three forms of realizations. Three forms of comfort. And these three forms, which I will come later, having this or completing these, three doors of liberation, and realizing past, present, future are equal, and with these three direct awareness. By doing that, the Shera Paro Chinzo Cho, may I, completed the perfection of wisdom, and that is what this verse. So now, what are the many of you know? The people who have been some of those teachings and have studied. What are the three doors of liberation? Number tabe gotongbani in Tibetan. Number tabe gotongbani, and quite often, translated saying emptiness. That is just first one. Simply put it in English, emptiness. Number tabe gotongbani. Number tabe go samaneba, signlessness. Signlessness. First, just to say that. Then number tabe go member wishlessness. So those are the three, the doors of liberation of emptiness, doors of liberation of the signlessness, and doors of liberation of wishlessness. So what does that mean? What does that mean that these three? So the first one, emptiness. So when we from the morning until we go to bed to going to sleep, even during the sleep, our mind interact with the things and events. Some are solid, like my computer is sitting on a box, printer box, or I'm touching the books and my body. Some are solid, some are purely mental state, like joy, happiness, fulfillment, fear, concern, worry, wish, and so on and so forth. And some are very much just conceptual, the level, not very much, even in the mental level, just in the conceptual. But these all have their own identity, box, computer, books, body, feeling, thought, they all have their own identity. So relation to their identity, what we have to understand, what we need to understand, what we have to know is, all these things, even though they all show some kind of characteristics, some kind of function, some kind of, the result, so on and so forth. They all shows, even in what we have in our conceptual mind, what I'm going to do when I'm retired has not reached yet, but it is in there, and so on and so forth. All those things, they all have their own identity, what they are, and so forth. And in relation to that, we need to understand they all may show characteristics, functions, purposes, and so on and so forth. They all are absent or empty of inherent existence or independent nature, absence of independent nature. They all lacks, absence. They all lacks what's called the intrinsic or inherent nature. Even though for us they all appear to have that kind of characteristic or that kind of nature, but they don't have. And that is talking about the emptiness, the first of all. When we see that, when we understand that, and that understanding, that seeing is more when we apply in our everyday lives, and through that, and eventually that understanding will lead us to the liberation, complete liberation. And that's why it's called the door, doors of liberation, door of liberation. That's what here. Then all these things, the printer box, computer, books, my body, my stuffs, my whatever, all these things, they all come into being through the causes and conditions. So they all are product of their own causes and conditions. So today a farmer who sow seeds, and sometime in the few months or few years they will have the result. So we not all the time, but we have that kind of relationship with the causes of these things and events. All the things and events that we experience, that we interact, they all have causes and conditions. They are not here without any causes and conditions. So the seeing, understanding their causes and conditions are also absence or empty of inherent existence is the second one, signlessness. Why it is you call signlessness? Sign, that we have some kind of belief, some kind of misunderstanding. The causes and conditions have some kind of intrinsic or inherent as a causes and conditions. Otherwise, how can they produce a result? If they don't have any kind of some in and of themselves as a causes and conditions, how can they produce the result? But this teaching is saying, no, they don't have. Without any intrinsic or inherent or in and of themselves as a causes and condition, still causes and conditions can produce their result. So seeing, the things and events, their causes and conditions are also absence or empty of inherent existence is called signlessness. Doors liberation of signlessness. So that is the second one. Then looking at the result, it is called wishlessness. As I put it, the example, the farmer or farmers, when they sow the seed, put lots of efforts and spend lots of money, have a wish, have a yearning to have a good crops. And that's their wish. And similar to the people who work, not necessarily farmer, people who work in the cities, people who work in the bank, or I just read this morning or yesterday I read the BBC, the UK or England, the English students are struggling because of government mess up, whatever there is, the exam result. They have a strong wish to good result exam, setting a good result and to go to the good universities and further, and they have a good job and a good future. These are their wish. So then saying here, wishlessness. Yes, there are results. Whatever we do, there are results, there are consequences. These consequences, these results are also absence or empty or inherently existence. So in other words, these three doors of liberations, what is happening here is analyzing, examining, things and events, their identity, their causes and conditions, and their results. Then, in other words, analysis or contemplation is done, not just the thing itself, but also its cause and its result. So, in other words, freeing ourselves, from the wrong grasping of not just the cause, not just the thing itself, but its causes and its results. So that is what here the three doors of liberation is referring to. But you can read some other commentaries of three doors, which is quite common, and the three doors of liberation can be explained in what's called not necessarily related to the emptiness. Here we are talking about related to the emptiness. There are different ways to talk about three doors of liberations, but commonly, in the Mahayana teachings, three doors of liberation, particularly in the Nalanda masters' traditions, three doors of liberation is mainly referring to emptiness. So that's here. So this is part of the sixth perfection, the perfection of wisdom. Those now the second, that three, that is the past, present, and the future, are also equally empty of inherent existence. So we may see, we may think, past is something just past, it's nothing apart from the memory. Future has not come yet, but real is the present one. Present is the real because it has I can experience, I can touch, I can see, I can blah blah blah. But first of all, time, without talking about past, present, future, time itself is also empty of inherent existence. And if we then, time to do some analysis, then it comes past, present, and future. Again, so here, saying tusum nyamba, that means equally. Past, present, and future are equally, the same. There's no one is more concrete, solid, inherent than the others. All are empty or absence of inherent, equally empty of absence or empty or absence of inherently existence. And that is here, it is also useful, the time. So when the modern scientists, they talk about time and how the time, when the time started, and so on and so forth. It's quite an interesting concept, and so these are the useful ones, because we have lots of grasping or holding on to the past, not necessarily past as the time, but associated with the past time activities that we have done, or the future that we wish, such as such, yearning such as such. Not just the future as the time that we're yearning for, something related to the future, such certain things, and like that. But, and this is, rather than the third one, three awareness, which are translated, but this here, and you're saying, I think, this last line, and the three exact concentrations. I think that might be what they are referring to. But this here, riksum musum gibai, riksum, the awareness, seeing directly the three sort of things. And these three things are referring to, which is quite common in the Mahayana, in the Bodhisattva teachings. And so now, bodhisattvas to really make them very sufficient, very skillful, have all the skills, all the means to work for the sake of living beings. Then, the bodhisattvas, they developed lots of what you call the realizations, which are very useful to understand sentient beings' background. And this is which are the term which I don't like, in particularly in English. In Tibetan, it's monshe, and in English, we quite often translate it clairvoyance, clairvoyance, which I don't like that much. So that is what here, there are 6 clairvoyants, and here they mention 3. And these 3 are here, the riksum, that 3, are translated, 3 awareness or 3 realizations. Rambam, now the first one, Rambam Shengi Tserap Mame Jumsu Sheba. So seeing and understanding one's own and other living beings, their past lives, past lives. So what that is useful? That is useful to understand their backgrounds. When the bodhisattvas understands their background, then to teach them, to lead them, to support them, to enter into supporting them, it is very useful. Which we do quite often, don't you? If you go to when you go to job interview, they want to know all your education background. You need to submit your CV, and they will interview you. And they will sort of want to know how you are thinking, your personality, and why? Because they want to use you. Whatever they pay, they want to make you work, and they make the company make good profit. And that's why. But bodhisattvas, the intention is very different. So that's the first awareness or the first realization. realizing directly one's own and the other living beings, their past lives. When you see their past lives, then you are in a better position to work with them. And that's the first one. Then the second one, Rangshingi Chipo Atang, Gyawa Shebe, Chipu Shebe Ripa. So the second one is saying, one's own and others, the future, past, when we are going to die, and when we die, where we're going to be born, and so on and so forth. So seeing, understanding that very clearly is also very helpful to talk to the living beings. And it is called, the first one is called Mune Jenten. Mune Jenten means, recollecting or recalling your past, where you are born, and your life. And the second one is Chipo Gyawalemba, the realization, seeing or understanding, realizing when you are going to when you're going to die, where you're going to be born, and this one is called Chipo Shepa. Yeah. Yeah. Then the third one. Here, the third one is most important one. In Tibetan, Sakpa Sebe Moshe. Sakpa Sebe Moshe. Sakpa means what you call the affliction. Sakpa, affliction. The delusion, affliction. Sakpa, pneumo. Sakpa Seba, exhaust, or the seas. When the people, the bodhisattvas, seeing, understanding what are the causes, what are the conditions to oneself to experience this cessation of affliction. Sakpa Sebe Tap, Sejeki Tap. Tap means means, methods. Seje, the means and methods to seize the affliction. Taptam. Te Sebe Nyangde, then the cessation itself. So seeing the cessation itself, and also seeing or realizing means and methods, how to seize, how to stop, extinguish the affliction. So that is the third clairvoyance. So these three, in Tibetan, Riksum, Rikpa. Rikpa means awareness or realizations, refers to these three. And saying, then the last line saying, through that, Sheraparo Chinzo Sho, the perfection of wisdom to be completed. So that is verse 22. So now this verse 23 is missing in English translation. Verse 23 is missing in English translation. So I will read this in Tibetan. So up to here is the 6 perfections, bodhisattva's deeds. Now we are entering into another sort of a section. Then this is what Sanje Kunji Ngakpatang. Sanje Kunji Ngakpatang. Sanje means the Buddha or fully enlightened beings. Kun means all. Ngakpatang, praise, saying well done. Sanje Kunji Ngakpatang. So when somebody who is entering and who enters into bodhisattva path through the cultivation of bodhicitta, then gradually gradually taking the Bodhisattva's deeds, such as the six perfections, these during those times, during those periods, although hard, difficult, challenging, but the Buddhas, fully awakened beings, Buddhas who are, they sort of the aim or the wish is to work for the living beings. When somebody, come into that direction, and these Buddhas or fully awakened beings praise that person, Sanje Kunji Ngakpatam, Dang Siji Barwatam. That means light, light or what you call that, light, yeah, Dang. Siji, what in English, there's one word, Siji, excellent, Dang Siji Barwatam. Barwa, in other words, there is a tremendous, when somebody, enters, take this, a journey into Bodhisattva, there is a tremendous sense of, and Buddhas, fully awakened beings, praise that person, support that person, appreciate that, and at the same time, himself or herself has a tremendous sense of joy, that word, light, and this siji, excellent, in the sense there's a tremendous sense of joy and, the fulfillment, bharvatam. Chanjuk sembe zunduki, and then, have the bodhicitta with the joyous effort. Chanjuk sembe zundu, by that, having this, dakshen samba dzogjuchi. Last line saying that may my wish and the wish of all living beings be fulfilled. Dakshin Samba Dzogjuchi. So, in other words, this verse 23, saying after going through the six perfections, the fully awakened beings praise to your activities, and you have tremendous sense of joys, tremendous sense of, the sense of meaning, or this, that's what here translate, giving the meaning. And through that, also have the joyous effort, when we read that verse, the verse, verse 20. That's the verse 20, which is talking about joyous effort. And through that, may the wish of myself, and dakshin, dak means myself, shen means other, samba here refers to wish or yearning or goal, samba dzogkyurchi, completed. May my own wish and wish of others be fulfilled. And that is verse 23. And this now the next verse, which is the last verse before the mantra, which is in here in this translation. So I'll read in English. Thus, there was one who followed a completed practice like this. He was named Maitreya. Accomplishing well the six perfections, he quickly reached the 10th level. And that is here in Tibetan. Tetar refers to thus. So far, what we have done is the six perfections. Tetar Jepa means deed. deed, japa, churching, enter into these deeds, or the, performed japa, performed these deeds. That japa, churching. Champa Thakdang Dembai. Because of that, here also called, he was named Maitreya, Champa, Champa Thakdang Dembai. There's a, because, that Maitreya or that person who have done these deeds, enter into these deeds, perform these deeds such as 6 perfections, that person is well known as a Maitreya, as a Champa La Tadam Dembai. With that, Dembai Paro Chin Tuk Zok Yine. So, through with the bodhicitta, and then taking the 6th perfection and completing the 6th perfection, this person called Maitreya reached out of the 10 bhumis in the Bodhisattvayana path. He or she, the Maitreya, reached 10th bhumi, which is the next to attain full enlightenment. Sajupola Rabdu Ne. So last line. Paro Chin Tuk Zokgi Ne, line 3, saying, completed the 6 perfections, then reached Saju, that means 10th bhumi, 10th ground, or 10th level, reach at 10th level, Rabdu Ne. So that is the verse 24. So now that is the main body of the text that we have completed. Now there is a mantra, and then mantra follows 2 verses, which is very, very simple. So next week I'm going to read the mantra. I don't know whether we have next week after, 2 weeks after. So then we'll read the mantra and the 2 remaining verses. Then this beautiful prayer, commenting on this beautiful prayer is completed. Okay. So shall we say prayers for 21 Taras? Boda lai ne jo ne, tami jambo ne zhongshin, pa mi je wu lai. Tu sum san je chile ma, zhoma ko je she so so, kadang pani je ben ji. Shab je ben mo la de de, pong ba kong na zhoma yung la chan se. Om je ze ma, pa ma zhoma la chan ma se. Chanze drama nyuma pa mo chene keche lo ba dang jigden zumbu chege she je kasa chewa ne yo chanze tongge dawa kun do kangwa yen ne zai be she kama tongda choba naman je rap chebe ba dang chanze sen chune je pe me chane na ba ye jemba zunde ka do she wa se ba sam ne Chanze Deshin Shebe Zu To Taye Nambara Jawa Che Maru Paru Jimba To Be Jawe Seki Shindo Chanze Duda Rahon Yege Duda Choda Jigden Dumbo Shabye Nen De Lupa Meba Duba Chanze Deje Mela Tsamba Longla Natso Che Jombo Rona Tesa Namanda Nujun Soki Chanze Teje Chadang Peje Karu Chubu Rambu Egon Yunjang Shakti Nende Mabar Chuba Shindo Bara Chanze Ture Jiba Chenbo Duji Pao Mama Chong Chuji Shene Chonye Tenze Chao Tamje Malu Chanze kunjo sumze chaje seme toga nama malu choje kolo jembe rangi veje chontu chanze rabdo kawa jebe ojen veje changwa sheba rabshe tudara ye dudan chiden onzo chanze sashi kyongwe cho nama tamje goba namani chonye yewa yige hongi pongba tamje nabarko chanze dawe dombu ten jemba tamje shin para rebe tene oba me le tabara shindo roze chanze kebe tama me tara barwe chengwe une yeja yungo kune koro kae daye pongye nabara chong chanze sashi ngala cha ki tengi nunchi shate tong chonye chenze yige hongi rinpa dombu namege chanze tema kema shi ma nyangen deshin chu so onda yanda dembe dikwa chenpo chomba chanze kune korwa kai dae lune nabarge ige chube ngane kwe dikwa hongde chomba chanze ture shamne dabe hongge nambe sabin ramen da ratambe je jigen suna chanze lai tsui nambe rita tajen chan Tara ni jue pege ye ge de na ma le ba se chang ze la ye so no me je po ha da me je de gu ne go ja ga wa je je zhe da me lo me ba se chang ze ni ma ta wa je be jin ye po la ro se ha ra ni jue tu da ra ye xin do cha gue ren se chang ze ti ni sum nam gue be shi we tu da ya da de da rong la ni jin cho na ma jong ba tu re ra chong ni za ya ma ge de ba di da chang ze wa ni ni shu za je chang ju sem jo ren bo che ma ge ba na ma ge yo je ge ba nyang ba me ba yang kong ne kong do pe wa sho Kare rare korwe shingang de pendang dewa malu jume jere sewa tenzin jaso yi shabe sete pado tenjo je. Oh yeah. Thank you very much and have a good time. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. In 2 weeks' time, and have a good summer holiday. Yeah, a few weeks ago, I read a BBC article, and with that, there is a small, the video what's happening in Bournemouth, in that beach. It's like a hell ramp for me. Every square feet of the beach sand, these people are sort of occupied, and I don't know how they enjoy that. And to get there might be very tough because it is seaside. I don't know that. I've never been to Bournemouth, and anyway, if you are going there, I don't know whether I'm enjoy or not. But anyway, yeah, enjoy your summer days. I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you. Bye-bye.